My name's Miss Spider, and I'm glad that you joined me. Do you like my black spots? Yes, well, you're just in time for tea. My mother and I made biscuits, so we will also be enjoying those. I thought we could do with a nice story during tea time. And quite fittingly, the story is called Miss Spider's Tea Party by David Kirk. Have you heard this story before? How wonderful. Well, it's one of my favorites because, well, it's about me. One lonely spider sipped her tea while gazing at the sky. She watched the insects on the leaves and many flying by. If I had friends like these, she sighed, who'd stay a while with me, I'd sit them down on silken chairs and serve them cakes and tea. There I am. Two timid beetles, Ike and May, crept from the woodwork that same day. But when Miss Spider begged, "Please stay," they shrieked, "Oh no!" and dashed away. 3 fireflies flew inside that night, their spirits high, their tails alight. They spied the web and squeaked in fear, "We'd better get away from here!" The little trio did not feel they'd care to be a spider's meal. Four bumblebees buzzed by outside. "Please come to tea," Miss Spider cried. The 4 ignored her swaying there. She waved a tea towel in the air. She took a cup and tapped the glass. Then one bee spoke to her at last. "We'd be fools to take our tea with anyone so spidery." Within the shadows of the room, just peeking from behind a broom, 5 grinning faces bobbed and peered. Miss Spider smiled, her heart was cheered. Descending for a closer look, she danced into the gloomy nook, but sadly found those jolly mugs belonged at last to rubber bugs. Some ants strode in, they numbered 6, but ants with spiders do not mix. She brewed them tea from hips of roses, the proud platoon turned up their noses. A fine bouquet concealed its prize of 7 dainty butterflies. Miss Spider, watching from the wall, was not aware of them at all. The tea table was set for 8 with saucers and cups and silver plate. The cakes were fresh, the service gleamed, yet no one would arrive, it seemed. Her company, in no demand, left her a cup for every hand. 9 spotted moths kept safe and warm in shelter from a thunderstorm. They stood beneath an open sash and watched the jagged lightning flash. Miss Spider dropped down on a thread, a silver tray above her head. She'd hope to please them, but instead they flew away in mortal dread. "They've left me all alone," she cried. She dabbed her eyes and slightly sighed. "It's plain no bug will ever stay." Her tears splashed down upon the tray. 10 tiny steaming cups of tea were perched atop her trembling knee. She sipped and sobbed, then heard a cough. and turned to see a small wet little moth. A fragile thing so soaked by rain, his wings too damp to fly again. She smiled and took a checkered cloth to cloak the frail and thankful moth. They talked and snacked on tea and pie until his tiny wings were dry. Then lifting him with tender care, she tossed him gently into the air. The moth told Ike, and Ike told May, who went from bug to say, "There is no reason for alarm. She's never meant us any harm." So later on that afternoon, assembled in the dining room, 11 insects came to tea to share Miss Spider's courtesy. Look at the picture from my party. "12 tender violets in a vase, presented at Miss Spider's place. Set by her chair so neatly spun, she munched the blossoms one by one. Her friends were glad to watch her feast upon the floral centerpiece. It was a great relief to see she ate just flowers and drank just tea. Miss Spider's reputation grew. Before too long, our hostess knew each bug who crawled or hopped or flew, and all their lovely children, too. There I am, eating the flowers. Here we are, celebrating the day. Thank you for listening to this story about my tea party. I hold them quite often with my insect friends. Always remember, insects are friends, not food. Yes, this is one of my favorite stories because it reminds me that God made me very, very special. God made me to love flowers and not insects, so I can have insects for friends. God made you kind and loving too, with a special smile and laugh and different interests for playing with your friends. So take this lesson. Learn it well, that God made you very, very special. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Toodles!
Hey, Grace kids. I hope you enjoyed Mrs. Spider and her story for you, and also her lesson. Did you hear when she was talking about when you are your true self, that is when friends come abundantly? Was when she was true to herself, when she was caring for others and serving others, that they decided to stay for her tea party. This is my challenge for you this week. Maybe you can gather your stuffed animals or your mom or your dad, or maybe you can even hop online with some of your friends through FaceTime or Zoom or Skype. Can't wait to see you on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your week.